sullied by a single sponsorship. Not yet. Outside the box, the next Ernie Shack, Charles Jet. Every stat cross-check, every last prospect. Tear open a Spalding and reach for next topics. We the underdog, but we bopping like the tropics. Here we settle calls and welcome controversy. It's ball above all.
Happy New Year. It is the first episode of Ball Above All. We have a little bit of a mixed group today, but I mean, ultimately, listen, we're still going to bring you the facts, our opinions, what we believe. So right over here, we have my boy, Luka.
Second time around, COVID didn't get me like the rest of the crew. Shout out to all the fallen brothers.
All right.
See you soon.
We have my boy, Ratchin.
What up? My first time on here. Let's get it.
And we have Mr. Chris.
Great to be back. Happy New Year, everyone. Hope you're treating you well so far.
Absolutely. And as you know, I'm your host, Mr. Nocturnal. So again, please check out. Today we are at the lovely Alpha Pack Studios. Can we get a round of applause for that? You know what I mean? So we want to just make sure that you guys see that. Please go to alphapack.com for any of your Alpha Pack soft paper materials or anything like that you need. We will have a commercial in a little bit about that. With that being said, let's start it off. So the first topic that I wanted to jump into is how you guys feel about Ben Simmons. Who wants to take the floor? Who wants to start off? 76ers?
I'll take
Ben
it.
Simmons.
I'll take it. As a fellow Australian, I feel it's my duty to speak on this. Firstly, I think it's bad on both sides. Firstly, bad. Let me talk from the Ben Simmons perspective. You pretty much, let's call it what it is. You didn't show up when it mattered most, and then to start the off season into the new season, you said you had mental relapses or you didn't feel comfortable to be able to come back, or the team didn't support you. Or, again, the narrative's just been twisted so many times, and I feel that it's just, instead of having the opportunity, from my perspective, he could have went to the games and really picked up his game and proven to the world how much of a force he was, but he decided to, spend the summer, work out behind closed doors, do the same thing that we see every single year. Ben Simmons nailing threes in the leagues, in high schools and so forth as well, and then came back, didn't report to training camp, didn't turn up. Then when he was required to come back to training camp, cell phone in the pocket, all these different antics. It's just uncalled for, unprofessional. And the guy just needs to put on his big boy pants. Clearly the relationship is over. There's no returning now. And from the looks of it, I haven't watched many 76ers games, but they seem to be doing okay. Their trade value has gone down. What they're asking from the club in return for Ben, they've gone from a top caliber top 10 player down to a 40 top 40 kind of range type of player now. So I think we'll probably see a trade before the deadlines, and I think both teams need a fresh start. But Ben, just come out strong with whoever you play for next. Just put it behind you and let's move on.
First of all, Novak Djokovic has a better chance of getting in Australia than Ben Simmons does making a three-pointer. First of all, so that making three-pointers, all that, I don't know where that started. I was going to go really hard in the paint on your boy, but I just noticed you're rocking show it to the camera, the Kobe Bryant bracelet. Yeah. Okay, so I have to take it easy. Rest in peace, Kobe. Anniversary is coming up.
Absolutely.
Ben Simmons, listen, if he didn't want to play, I'm okay with him not wanting to play for whatever reasons. He's got his own personal reasons. The thing that I didn't appreciate was when he started to feel in the paycheck. Then he showed up to practice to try and game the system and try getting some paychecks. Yeah. And that's just pure disrespect to your teammates at that point. Like, if you're going to come to practice, then at least practice. Right. Don't get kicked out of practice because you're carrying the ball and pictures came out where he's like carrying the ball. And that has no space in the game to me. So at that point, if I was in Philadelphia, management would have kicked him out. He wouldn't have been allowed to come back on the property. No matter how big of an asset he is on the court, that just hurts your franchise in more ways than one. So good luck, Ben, wherever you end up. Looking forward to watching you not make threes.
Come on, Ben. I mean, I agree. Like, you were at practice, at least do some work. Put the work in, right? Now your trade value's gone down, like you mentioned earlier. Yeah. It's a bad look not only for Ben, but for the Philly GM and their whole management system. I just feel like you're in this opportunity to play, right? And you can play. We know that. Yeah, there's some areas you got to improve on for sure, but now who wants to pick you up, right? You're going to go to some random team now, and they have no trust. And so you got to show your ability to play, but what you're doing is not showing up. You're not putting that work in. You know, he had the opportunity this year with Joel to run. But come on, Ben. Like, I don't want to sound too harsh here, but if I had to sum up Ben with one word, you know, I would say clown. And the reason why I say that is because people they look at him now and they're laughing. You know, and I'll admit it. 2 years ago, Ben, 3 years ago, was a baller, man. You could really, you know.
Go back to high school or whatever, or his
Yeah,
1
man.
year at LSU. He was junior LeBron. He was come on,
Yeah,
let's
Braun
call it
had
what it
him.
is,
Braun kept
LeBron.
saying, yeah, no.
But the thing is that I wonder is, did he put more pressure on himself? Because as you said, is he going to go to another franchise and be able to shoot the ball now? Because now, if you go to another franchise and you can't play up to another level, and you're doing the same things they're doing in Philadelphia, you know what I mean?
Well, he's had a lot of time to practice, so I hope he's putting up at least 5,000 shots a game, and I hope he comes back raring to go, because anyone in this league, if you can average almost a triple-double, the guy's averaging a triple-double in his career close to, 3-time All-Star, the guy can ball.
Yeah.
He's 25 years old.
Well, is he practicing right now? Do you know what's going on with him? I
Well,
have no idea. I haven't seen anything.
Well, he just got engaged to a model, so
he
he's
did?
keeping
Oh,
himself busy, so
yeah.
life is good to him. Life is good to him.
He also played with one of the greatest centers of the generation. Let's not forget that. It's kind of easy to average a triple-double when you're playing with a talent like Embiid.
Yeah, that's true.
That's
That's
not to be
facts.
granted. I want to see him being the primary ball handler, shooter, scorer, rebounder, similar to how LeBron was in the majority of his years in the league. I don't think you see the same numbers as you do with LeBron. So all that LeBron comparison is.
So, I mean, with that being said, let's move on to shifting, as you just said, Joel Embiid. So, Joel Embiid, Jokic, who else would you ever put up
Karl
there?
Anthony Towns.
Karl Anthony Towns. Like, right now, where do you put them? Who's the best center in the league right now for you guys? I'm going to go with the Joker.
I gotta go with Joker, too.
I was going to say.
Yeah.
Did you see that game the other night, 49, 15, and 16?
On Gobert?
That was incredible.
Yeah. I think that was on versus Utah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jokic is playing out of his mind. I think statistically speaking, hard to argue with him. I don't think Denver's at full strength. They obviously have some injured players. I don't know if I would give him the knock of the best center in the league, because he's not a traditional center.
Right.
There's times where he'll run up the ball. There's times where he won't even enter the paint.
Point guard.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I got to go with Embiid as the best center in the league. He's the most similar to that position. But I'm sure we'll talk more about Jokic and the MVP runnings, because, hey, bravo maestro.
And the thing that I like about him too is he talks a little shit, but he does it like in a way that it's subtle. You know, because they were showing a clip of I forget who it was. I don't know if it was Gobert or somebody was yelling at the ref or something, and he's like, "Hey, look at the score. I have like 40 on you. You can't stop me." Something like that. But I'm like, just that little shit talk. I like that. You know what I mean?
Like you were saying though, he's not a traditional center, so you know if he's at 3-point line and he's passing it in, and that's what he did the other game too. I just think, you know, 1-on-1 versus Embiid, you still choose Embiid over Joker?
1-on-1, or who's a better player?
Let's go forward. First 1-on-1, who would you choose?
1-on-1, I really think it's a toss-up between them. I think
You
strength.
think a toss-up?
I think a toss-up, because Embiid's stronger than him. So I think a toss-up, if they play 10 games, probably 5-5, 6-4 either way. But on the court as a center position, Embiid. On the court as an overall player, Jokic.
Jokic.
Yeah.
I think Jokic has better court vision. I think Jokic makes the guys around him better.
He does.
Embiid is doing that this year, obviously, Philly, with a good record, considering that they're missing a Ben Simmons type player. But yeah, 1-on-1, I will go toss-up.
You go toss-up. I would go with Joker. I think, you know, he would... Okay, Embiid, I think, could out-rebound him just because of the size. But the fact that he's so dirty from, like, outside perimeter, right? And to get that type of player at a center level, that's unreal. And I think Jokic, he's able to make his team elevate better than Embiid, in my opinion, right? Because he's able to open up the paint more,
For sure.
open up the floor more. So that's why I will go with the Joker.
Yeah, I look at it this way. I think Joker has the better basketball IQ overall. Like to your point, you watch the Joker's game. He is the MVP. When I think of an MVP, he is an MVP. He's helped elevate Denver the last couple of years. Like him and Murray, it's obviously been a tag team kind of thing, but it's the Joker that's made the team run. He'll stand a lot of the time at the top of the key, or dribble the ball up, stand there, and just pass it.
Yeah.
There's so many times he'll just do that. He'll get it on the block, or he'll shoot a three, or run the floor, and he's dishing as well. Like that's just IQ. I think Embiid, to your point, is more of the powerful player between the two. But in terms of being most valuable, it's the Joker.
Yeah, I think defensively, historically speaking, if we exclude this season, there's really no comparison between Jokic and Embiid. Embiid is a much superior defensive player, but Jokic has made great strides. Draymond actually pointing it out to him in the game. I don't know if you guys caught that, but I think Jokic reached out to Draymond and said, hey, thanks for the feedback, because Draymond joined the TNT crew, and he said that Jokic's defense has to go up to the next level if Denver wants to compete for a championship. And then this year when they played, Draymond actually told Jokic, like, your defense has improved leaps and bounds. So
speaking on the Warriors, let's go there. What do you guys think about the Warriors this year so far? Are they a championship guarantee?
Guaranteed?
Yeah, do you say guaranteed?
I see conference finals for sure. For sure. They're balling now, man. Steph Curry, especially I think it was in December to January, he's had all those crazy strings of games. He's really balling out. Let Klay come back properly. He just came back now. Give him a month or so. Let him really get back into the game. Let him really get back into the NBA pace. They're a dirty team, man. And for sure, conference finals.
What makes you think they won't make it all the way? Like, what's the hesitation?
It just comes down to if they're healthy or not, right? And it comes down to whether or not if Klay will mesh, we'll say, properly in the next half of the season. I think Klay's X factor. If Klay comes back and he's balling out like he did a few years ago, then I guarantee he'll be in the finals. Right. But he's the X factor in all this.
Yeah, I agree as well. I have to jump on that. You got Wiggins, who's I dare say is going to be an all-star this year as well. You've got, I know Klay didn't make the top 75, but damn right, that guy's in the top 75. You've got two of the greatest shooters of all time on this team. Klay Thompson is phenomenal, and Steph Curry is Steph Curry. He's going to continue to be making shots, leading the team. So I just, to your piece, I really think it's going to come down to them staying healthy.
Yeah.
And Klay Thompson fitting into the system overall. If he's 75%, pun intended, of the player that he was a couple of years ago, they're gonna be real trouble in the West. The only problems that I foresee for them is injuries, or just the West is the West.
Yeah.
It's just tough to get through. Phoenix is bowling out as well, so they've got a little bit more experience. They're hungry. They're going to test them as well. So if they meet, that'll be a very good series. I think that's going 6 or 7 as well. So I think it'd be really a flip coin between those two at the end of the day, but it just depends on how deep the bench goes, how much that impact Wiseman comes back into play as well.
Yeah.
And if Klay's balling and Curry's balling, yeah, I think the Warriors ultimately come out on top, but let's wait and see.
Yeah, I think you and I were talking before the season started about the Warriors and what they could do if healthy, and what they were doing before they were even fully healthy. And I think watching a few of their last games with Klay coming back, I don't think Draymond has been playing. I don't know if he's injured, but the 2 games that I caught glimpses of, they didn't play that well. They lost, I want to say, to Phoenix. I think Phoenix beat them, but it was a tight game up until the 4th quarter. And Memphis handed it to him. A really, again, tight game, and then the last 3-4 minutes of the 4th quarter, Memphis blew it open. So to your point, I think Klay getting back in the swing of things is important. I think he will. I think he's too good of a player not to. I think it's going to be on the other guys. I really think it's going to be on the other guys. I think it's going to be on Iguodala being able to play that elite level defense, Draymond being able to play that elite level defense. You know what Steph is going to bring. He's going to bring that night in. You know what Klay's going to do. He's going to do that night in. But Gary Payton Jr., Wiggins, and their bench really has to step up. I think Phoenix has proved that they can play top-level basketball. Denver, fully healthy. I wouldn't count out the Lakers. I wouldn't count them out. Last year, if we look before Anthony Davis got injured, they were murdering Phoenix. And Phoenix went on to go to the finals. So I don't count out the Lakers just yet.
Glad you brought that up. Let's talk about the Lakers right now.
Okay.
I was because I mean, there's so many different parts of this that I wanted to touch on, but let's start off with the way LeBron's playing at the age of 37. Is it something to be? Is it really that phenomenal, or is it like it's a 30 ball that he's putting up without wins? Like, because I've seen different perspectives on the argument. Some people say he's scoring 30, but it's not an impactful 30. Like, what do you think at his age?
At his age, you got to give him the credit. Like, he's I don't know how many years in a row he's talked about it openly, spending $1 million just on his nutrition.
Yeah.
Like, just that level of care for your body. Again, March and I were talking about Novak in the car over. Like, when you're an elite of the elite, you do something that's that's not ordinary. You're what's the saying? Uncommon amongst uncommon men. So I think you got to give LeBron his dues. What he's doing is unbelievable. The level of play that he has with so many miles on his body is.
Oh, I agree, man. Like, you gotta remember LeBron turning 37 back in December. You know, he had that one stretch before he got injured. Was that he was playing the finals and the Olympics, and then he keeps running and put all these miles on his body. So you're saying, you're right. The nutrition factor is huge, and this is where it's showing now in his career. You know, the numbers he put up now. If guys in their prime were doing this back in the day, you know, they'll be MVP, you know, contenders. But this is, I will call it the LeBron factor, like the LeBron effect, right? Because LeBron's been doing this all his career. He's been balling out, put up these crazy, especially since Christmas, like around that period. From now, like, it's ridiculous what LeBron's doing. So I give him his dues, right? I think it's crazy. We're witnessing history right now. You know, the day LeBron retires, it's going to shock the league, all the sports across, like everything. So, you know, I think sometimes it's best to sit back and just enjoy the moment with LeBron, because this is unreal.
Yeah,
The Laker fan. I want to hear from the Laker fan over there.
Oh, the Laker fan, that's right.
I'm let me start with LeBron James, one of the greatest players of all time, without a doubt. I think he's going to finish top 5 in ultimately scoring. He's going to beat Kareem's record, of course. Assists, he'll be there as well. Rebounds, he'll probably finish up in the top 15 or somewhere thereabouts as well. The guy is a legend, one of the greatest players of all time. Is he a Lakers legend? No, you're not, LeBron. You're not a Lakers legend. You're purely here for this part of your life. And
are you saying that LeBron's bigger than the Lakers?
no, I'm saying he's not a true Laker when it comes down to it. When we name the Lakers greats, LeBron is not a Lakers great.
No.
What would
I
make
agree
him a
with
Laker
that.
great then, if you're saying that?
He's got a title there.
He's got a title
Yeah.
there. That hasn't. Let's call that title what it is. It's an asterisk. That one.
Oh, the
I
bubble.
agree.
The bubble
bubble
win.
title, yeah,
The
yeah.
bubble win. But look,
A win's a win, though, right?
yes, a win is a win in the
Yeah.
context of winning. But when it comes back to the original question, we have to marvel at the pure consistency of LeBron. He's year 19, 37 years old. Incredible. There's no one in the history. If you want to purely look at this on a stat sheets perspective, shout out to my man Kobe, rest in peace. Like, even in his 19th year, the level, the numbers that LeBron is doing right now, Kobe wasn't doing the same thing.
Right.
So shout out to LeBron. Keep it going. Who knows where this Laker team will end up. It's awful to watch right now. I can only hope that it continues to improve, and I'm sure we're going to touch on the Lakers.
So with that being said, is it Russell's fault? Is it Westbrook's fault? Do you guys believe that? Like, I'll tell you, from what I see on watching those games, like, I don't think you can solely blame it on Russell Westbrook, in my opinion. Yes, he's shooting terribly. He makes bad decisions, but is it just his fault? I don't think so.
Would you blame another coach for putting him in when he's shooting under 30% in the fourth quarter?
Vogel? I don't know. What did you give him to play with? Like, look at the roster you gave him. It's very difficult, and I think looking at some of the games, Vogel's trying to find lineups that work. Not to mention the COVID thing, so he's been trying to utilize whatever guys he can.
But that's the same thing could be said for any team.
True. But I just think with a guy like Russell Westbrook, think about LeBron and him. They do the same thing, right? You got one guy that his whole career has handled the ball, facilitated. He's not a spot-up shooter. LeBron is not a spot-up shooter. You have two of the same guy, pretty much. I don't know what you guys think.
As a Lakers fan, I'm happy to jump here and take this one. I think a lot of it has to go on Vogel. I don't like to blame the coach, because when you start losing, the first person that's accountable to the results is always the coach, and they're fired. But I look at a couple of these games and some of the rotations that he's putting in. Of course, there's a caveat with it, with the COVID restrictions and so forth as well. But Stanley Johnson, the guy was on the street literally a month ago, and he's one of the best players on the team right now. That is not a joke. And you look at the veterans that they've got on the team as well. It's just this mixed bag of different players that they're trying to make work. This team would have been fantastic in 2012-14, but it's not 2014, it's 2022. The game has evolved into something different. I think that the game has left Russell Westbrook a little bit behind. They also don't have Anthony Davis, who arguably is, top 5 player, but he's
He wasn't playing good either.
He wasn't playing great either, and the guy has never played 60 games in a year so far in his career. I was going to say. So I think it's just a combination of things. I think they do have the squad to turn it around, and ultimately when you have LeBron James leading the charge, you always have a chance. But I think it's going to come down to the chemistry with Westbrook at the end of the day, because everything else will fall into place if they can figure it out.
I don't think you can just blame on one player for Westbrook. I think you're right. It's a combination. Their bench, and you're right. In 2012, they would have been number one. They would have beat the Warriors' records. There have been 75 wins, right? But yeah, Westbrook isn't performing like at the elite level that they need them to. But with AD being out, that's a huge factor. People gotta recognize that. And Vogel, he's doing the best that he can with the pieces he got, and you gotta factor in the fatigue factor, right? Because some of these guys are older now. So how much can you play some of these players day in, day out? And going back to LeBron, like he's putting all these crazy minutes too at 37. So I think that's also that's unreal for LeBron. But yeah, I wouldn't blame it all on Westbrook. Yeah, he should shoot better. I agree. But I think it's an overall combo of the team.
I gotta go with the different route. It's all Westbrook's fault.
All Westbrook's fault.
All Westbrook's fault.
Fine.
Put
I
yourself
gotta
in
hear
this
this.
position. Put yourself in this position, right?
Right.
Imagine the four of us are trying to accomplish a goal, right? And here we are. We're all sitting here. We're all focused. We're all trying to do our best. And here comes one guy who's more worried about the way he dresses for a game than he does about what the actual game plan.
Oh,
We're bringing in the fashion.
Put yourself in LeBron's shoes, right? I'm 37. I'm trying to win another title.
Yeah.
I'm here. I'm looking at scout sheets. I'm looking at who we're playing. I'm looking at the schedule. I'm taking care of my body. I'm going from one ice bath to a heat to a sauna to this. I'm eating spinach and kale salads. And here's this dude coming in dressed, wearing a robe with some stripes in it that he paid.
You don't like his fashion?
Yeah, I was gonna say that's what it sounds like.
No, you would just look at him and be like, what are we doing? Where's the focus? Where's the focus? What are we trying to do? That's why I think he declined to speak to the media after a game, because he doesn't want to let the team stuff air out into the media. But I think LeBron's just sick of it, and everything starts from LeBron. And I think that whole effect just causes a domino effect on the rest of the team. We're like, what are we doing? There's no synergy. There's no chemistry in the play, and Vogel has to bench him, or management, Rob has to trade him and move on.
And they're kind of stuck too, because 40. What does he make?
44
45?
million.
And then next year he's gonna make 49.
Yeah.
Who's gonna take that? You know what I mean?
Please, Masai, don't do it.
No,
He didn't do it before, right?
Yeah.
So I'm happy, very happy with that.
Yeah. So they gotta kind of figure it out either way, right? So.
Yeah.
I think I'll say one more thing. I think the biggest indicator here is if we go back to when they won in the bubble, they had one of the, I think they were top 5 in all the defensive categories. I think this year, if I remember correctly, the last time I looked at it, they're in, I think, somewhere between 20th and 25th. Their energy, their intensity on defense, as the old saying, defense wins championships. These are just old guys that are, I'm not even going to blame the old guys, they're just not hustling, they're just not working hard on the defensive end. And you've seen it countless times. As someone who's watched a lot of Lakers games over the years and this year, it's tough to watch.
They also had Rondo then, they had Dwight Howard, JaVale McGee, they locked down the paint, they had LeBron, they had AD.
Yeah.
I'm trying to recall who else was on that team, but that team was a defensive juggernaut.
That's why they
and
won.
all on the same page. You didn't see Rondo dressing like a Victoria's Secret model coming to a game.
So the fashion's a big point here.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
like,
No, but I mean, ultimately, like you said, we got to see how the rest of the season goes. They say, after the All-Star break, usually that's when the teams start to really
exactly,
play.
yeah.
I still have
we'll,
hope.
we'll see. AD comes back, like you said, that could make a bit of a change. But
Yeah.
to your point, if Russ can't figure out how to maneuver around the both of them, and Gary Payton actually said he was at the game watching, and he was like, he could see Russell Westbrook is thinking too much. That's the problem. He's
Let
trying
the
to figure
game
out
come to him.
when to pass the ball, and he's not a spot-up
No,
shooter.
see, that's the difference. He's not thinking about that. He's thinking, do I wear the Versace pants, the Balenciaga shirt, do I wear...
Alright, Russ, you gotta confirm that, man.
Yeah, I was
You
gonna
gotta
say,
confirm,
yeah.
well, you know what? When they got Russ, they knew what they signed up for.
Yeah.
He's historically speaking, he's never been the greatest
He's not a
shooter.
shooter.
Right.
So they knew that beforehand. So not everyone's surprised about this. I'm not surprised. This is a Russ. This is a given. He's gonna get the rebounds and the assists. He's not gonna be efficient shooting, but that's where the Lakers management has to step in and build a team to complement those type of pieces.
Sure, yeah.
Right. So that's why I don't blame Russ, because that's the type of player he is. Now, if he was always a shooter back in the day, and then boom, this year out of nowhere can't shoot, sure, the fashion and all that, could be a factor. But I'm just saying, like, reality though, that this is the type of player he is.
Yeah, he's being who he is.
That's who he is.
He is being who he is.
I'll tell you something. If the Lakers don't change anything and they improve their record, in one of the episodes at that time, I'll come dressed as Russell Westbrook.
There you go.
Okay.
All right,
you heard it first.
Last
Stamped
time
it.
I said I was going to bring some Serbian brandy, Rakia, Stara Sokolova. It's here, so.
All right.
None of my word.
And with that being said, we're going to take a quick commercial break. Again, shout out to Alpha Pack Studios. We'll be back. And we are back. All right, so let's just wrap up on that Laker little tidbit there. So you guys think, is there a possibility for them to get to the championship this year, based on the second half of the season?
I think with I think with a healthy AD and a healthy LeBron, I think it's possible. Time will tell. I think the odds are against them, but I think it's possible.
Do you think it's best to bench Russ, like they're trying to or starting to do?
I would try to trade him. And get a spot up 3-point shooter and point guard who can make it a 3-point shot.
Yeah.
That's what I would look for. Somebody who's a little bit younger, who's got some dynamic, who's willing to listen, willing to adapt his game and provide exactly what the team needs and not go off the cuff like Russ does.
Yeah, I was gonna say it depends on AD. I agree. Like, let's see how he comes back and how healthy he is. LeBron, of course, if you go that deeper into the playoffs, health comes to factor. And then in terms of benching Westbrook, I don't think that's the best idea. I think let him keep playing. This is who he is. Maybe change the lineups. When it comes down to the end of the game, but I wouldn't keep him on the bench though. I would have him out because he can still get those rebounds and assists. Maybe tell him don't shoot, unless necessary.
And if
I would keep.
do you bench him?
No, that's just the way it goes. Like that's like a risk, right? It's a risk manage that, and that's what we gotta accept. That I mean, we as in you as a Lakers fan, you gotta accept that. Like if he misses, that's who he is, right? So.
I think you just summarized two great things. I think he's liability in crunch time, and I think he's liability if you bench him. It's still going to cause drama.
Oh, the drama's going to be there.
Yeah,
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Well, one thing we've realized tonight that Luka does not like Russell Westbrook. But
I love Westbrook, especially when he was in OKC.
He was a fantastic player at OKC. I think it all depends on AD.
Yeah.
It all depends on the successor. How quickly he comes back, how well he can play, and also a huge part of it is also Westbrook as well. How well can Westbrook fit into the team? I think you just got to let it fly. You decided to make this trade. Management invested all this money. They obviously traded away some assets, so you've got to try your hand. You just got to try and see if it fits. I wouldn't be benching him. He's a very expensive bench player, so you got to work with the assets that you have. Try and fit. Try and use this, the second half of the season to build some chemistry, build some confidence leading into the playoffs as well. So I think they still can do it, but I think it is a long shot, especially with the competition they're going to be coming up against. You got young and hungry teams like your Memphises, your Denvers, your Phoenix, your Golden State. I just don't see them overall getting there, but there's always a chance when you have LeBron.
So in keeping the theme on championships, let's go to the East. What do you guys think about Brooklyn? Are they guaranteed to win now that they got Kyrie part-time?
No, I'm going to go definitely not guaranteed. I think the East is a complete wide-open race. Toss-up, you have the Bulls that are playing really well, but they lack that playoff experience. They lack the playoff experience. I don't trust DeMar as a Raptors fan. I don't trust DeMar in playoffs.
I agree.
You have the Nets, obviously, an inch away from making it to the finals last year. I think the fact that Kyrie was out so long, there's still a big question mark about his vaccination status. Is he going to play? Where can he play? When can he not play? I think that tosses too many cogs into the wheel for the Nets. Then you have teams like the Heat. The Heat are my dark horse for this year to make it to the finals. I think the Heat are stacked at every single position, well coached, experienced. They have youth. They have athleticism. They have Bam, who seems like a slightly light version of Antetokounmpo.
Yeah.
He's Antetokounmpo light. So.
What about Milwaukee? You don't believe in them?
I've never believed in Milwaukee. The defending champs proved me
Yeah, I
wrong
was
last
gonna
year. No, Giannis is playing out of this world, and I think come playoff time, he's going to do the same thing again. He's in his peak. He's going to wreck, but I think the fact that they lost Lopez, I think the fact that they lost PJ, I think those things really hurt them. So I don't see them going back to the finals.
Yeah.
So you're saying Miami or?
I'm saying Miami, Nets have a good chance.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. Atlanta's
Those
worse
are
than
okay.
last year. New York doesn't have a chance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to go with Nets or the Heat, and I think the Heat are going to be so gritty come playoff time.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to be really tough to beat.
Yeah, you know what? I gotta go with Brooklyn still. You know, if KD, let's see how he comes back from his injury. But if he comes back still balling out, and then you got Harden, and then the problem is Kyrie. You're right. You know, if they're in the finals, even or conference finals, where he can't play in half the games, it's a liability. But you know, if KD's healthy, man, he's one of the best players in the league, and I think he has that desire, like you mentioned, literally an inch away last year to make it. And so I gotta go with Brooklyn. And then I like Miami, don't get me wrong, you know, and I like Chicago, you're right. DeMar in the playoffs. As a Raptors fan, we've seen it too many times now. He's got a lot better this year, don't get me wrong. Like, he's balling out.
Yeah.
This guy's balling out, and I'm happy to see that. Really happy to see it. But I don't see them going past the conference finals. So if I had to choose one team right now, I say Brooklyn in the East.
Stamped it.
Yeah, I hate to say this that I agree with Luka, but I would have to say also that I have Miami as a dark horse. One, Kyle Lowry is a fantastic addition. I think that's one of the best signings that hasn't really been spoken about a lot. Kyle Lowry is a huge piece for that Miami team. He drives that team. You also got Jimmy Buckets there, of course, who's a fantastic player. You mentioned Bam as well. The guy's only 23 years old as well. They've got shooters all over the court. They're a fantastic team, and I think they'll really challenge the best team in the East. But ultimately, I think the Nets are going to do it this year as long as KD can remain healthy. I think this Kyrie distraction will be figured out probably within the next couple of months or so. And when you have three of the probably top 5 players in the league, you always have a fantastic chance to win every single time. And I think with KD, up until he was injured, he was the MVP. He's the leading scorer. The team had one of the best records. I think they have second or third best record in the league. He's unguardable. He's a 7-foot shooting guard. It's incredible. So I'm going to go the Nets this year. As long as they're healthy, they're wrapping it up.
That Aussie accent threw me for a bit. Did you say One Car Larry? I'm like, who did he sign? One Car Larry?
No, but I agree. I think with the Nets, to your point, I think you're right. Like I just think, listen, if you see the three of them on the floor play together, it's beautiful to watch. Like, it's incredible. But with Kyrie only being able to play, what would that be, like 3 or 4 out of 7 games?
I think it's going to be.
I just don't know how that's going to work out. You know what I mean? And the rules could change, but right now, I don't know how that's going to work. For the chemistry of the team.
I agree.
And how many points did Brooklyn count on James Harden last year with his little reach through and step backs? Like,
he's still an all-star. He's still going to be okay.
He's not playing at the same level though.
He's not. It's
the rules have hurt him.
Yeah, he's lost about maybe 5 to 7 points now.
For
We're
sure.
talking. I think I haven't looked at the stats, but I think he's probably going to the free throw line at least 5 or 6 times. To your point, I'd say
versus
it'd be
12 or 13.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see the stats year on year to see how much it's effective because he's not getting to the free throw line as often.
Well, I think the rules definitely impact him the most out of anyone in the league.
Yeah,
it's Harden for sure. So, but he's still balling out. So, and I'll say in the playoffs, man, just him and KD coming together, it's hard to stop him.
For sure. I think KD, unless they're playing Milwaukee and you have Antetokounmpo on the other side, I think KD's the best player on the floor, no matter who else they play in the East. But I think too much politics in New York is going to get them at the end of the day, and injuries as well.
So speaking about that, as we're staying in the East, what do you guys think about? We have to go to the home team, to the Raptors. What do you guys think about Scotty Barnes and the future of the Raptors? What do you think?
I think Scotty's cemented as the rookie of the year. He's really surprised me with his level of athleticism, with his understanding of the game, following the game plan. The Raptors just look much better when he's on the court. The one concern I have for him right now is his defense. He seems to be moving really slow laterally, And like when they put him on Jimmy Butler against Miami the other day, Jimmy just blew past him in that
How tall
last
is he?
minute.
Like 6'9"?
He's tall.
Yeah, he's pretty big.
He's a big guy,
He's
yeah.
got
19
7
years old?
Yeah,
7'3".
that's the thing.
wingspan.
He's a young guy.
He's gonna grow.
He's gonna grow.
He's gonna grow.
Get better.
He's gonna grow. I'm saying the ceiling for Scotty Barnes is higher than Giannis's ceiling is right now. I think he's so athletic and he's got a genuine passion for the game and really, really smart player.
Yeah.
Really smart player. He understands what's happening on the court. Hey, that's not just my opinion. Kevin Durant said that about him. So I think the Raptors have a bright future with Scotty if they can keep him. If they can keep him, I kind of don't see them keeping them for a very long time.
I mean, that's the thing with the Raptors. It's hard to retain players, right? But I gotta give Scotty Rookie of the Year. You know, I'm gonna cement that as well too. Ready?
What about the guy on Mobley, Cleveland?
Good,
Yeah, no.
good, talented player, but no, Scotty.
I gotta give Scotty.
Scotty. Shout out to NBA Top Shot and Scotty Barnes being at almost $700
Yeah.
for the triple badge. NBA Top Shot.
Yeah, for me as well. Shout out to Scotty Barnes. I think he's a great player. I think he's going to be here for a while. I think he's really loved Toronto. I know we obviously haven't seen Toronto in its full setup with the lockdowns that we continue to experience. He's only probably had a handful of games at home with the full capacity as well. But I think he's really embraced the community here and also the culture here. And I think he really, really enjoys it. And I think it's also a shout out to Masai as well. He's continues to make the right plays for the Toronto Raptors. So I think the future is really bright. Scotty Barnes is going to be a big problem for the league for a long period of time. And just to follow on what you said, I think his ceiling is, MVP. And I think they've done a really good job of identifying him. I think, when they had that pick and they didn't pick Suggs, that was an uproar when they didn't pick Suggs. But I think looking back at it now, in Messiah we trust.
Messiah we trust.
What about Fred VanVleet, All-Star?
Well, it's going to come down to coaches' picks, right? He's not going to, looking at the fan votes so far, he just doesn't have, again, he's suffering from not being in a big market. Well, he's in a big market, but in comparison to, the US, Canada has, hardly as many people as there is in New York overall, right? So it'll come down to the coach's pick. I think there's a chance he may be like one of the last picks when it comes down to it, but I think he'll be close. He'll be touch and go, but he deserves it. I think he really has. He's elevated his game.
Yeah.
He's been fantastic. He was leading the league in steals earlier this year. He's done, he's averaging 17, 6, and 3. He's very, very close to an All-Star in my opinion.
So if you're going to anchor your team, would you say him and Pascal are the anchors with Scotty?
Yeah, I think if you got those 3 pieces, you're putting yourself in a really good position to be in a good spot for the next 5 years.
No, you don't agree with that? You don't have Pascal?
Okay.
Mr. Siakam is not an all-star. Mr. Siakam is not a corner piece. He's a third, fourth best option on a good team. He's not a guy who you can trust down the line. Like, he's got some good games because he's the go-to player. I mean, take any team, take away their 5 best players and give it to the 6th best guy. They're gonna get 30 points a game at some nights with 25 shot attempts. But I think Fred, as an all-star, to your question, I think he's borderline, and this may sound cruel, I think he's borderline all-star level, but considering where Freddie came from,
it's a great story.
yeah, you can't hate on that story. Hashtag bet on yourself.
Yeah.
I love his game. I think he plays with calm demeanor and
he's
confident
Hit
out
some
there.
big shots too.
Huge shots and really good at defense.
Yeah.
Really good for his size. I mean, he's got something Kyle Lowry-esque about him on the defensive end.
I was about to say
considering he's undersized, and on offense he kills it.
Yeah.
Offense,
I would say he's on the cusp of an all-star, right? Like, you're
he's right there.
With the coach's vote, like maybe a tier 2 secondary, if we have to get him in, like. But yeah, he is elevating his game quite a bit. We're seeing it. So Freddie, you're killing it. Keep it up, man. And Toronto Raptors fans are happy to have you on the team for sure.
You were going to say something about Pascal.
Yeah, I think Pascal, he still won a chip, right? He was, go back a couple of years ago, he was still, again, he has that experience. He wasn't Kawhi, obviously, but he was a big piece to support Kawhi. Then the following year, he won it all. He was an all-star that following year as well. So I think he's just going to find his momentum. He's a max player. He's getting paid. Of course, that is the league now as well. And a lot of Raptors fans are asking the question, play up to your contract. But we've also got to remember the contracts that are being played as well. But I still think, he's 27 or 28, if I remember correctly. I still think, He's a second or third piece. He certainly isn't your primary guy at the end of the day, but he's a great piece to have in order for you to be contending.
Yeah, it just seems like his trajectory, to your point, where he was playing in the finals, he had that big shot over Draymond late in Game 5, I think. Him and Kawhi are the second highest scoring duo in playoff history. I think if you take away Kawhi and substitute with anybody else, that falls top 1,000 scoring duos with just Siakam. But his trajectory hasn't been as linear. Like, there was supposed to be a clear progression of his game, and that really hasn't happened. Like, it's been bumps and roads. It's been 3 steps back, 2 steps forward, 2 steps back, 1 step forward.
But do you blame that on the franchise, though? That they kind of put him in that mold to be that when he really wasn't supposed to be that?
I don't blame the franchise for that, because that's just the situation that the team was in. Like, he was the next go-to player. Like, this is your chance. Either take it or leave it. You had the same thing happen if you look at Raptors history when Vince Carter left Chris Bosh. He became that centerpiece, and he did what he could. He brought us to the playoffs. So I don't blame the franchise for that. I think Pascal's game is flawed. I think with his length and athleticism, he's not as versatile with the ball and off ball as I think he should be. I think a player that he can really model his game after or take aspects of their game is Lamar Odom.
Great player.
Yeah, great player. And then parts of KD's game, right? With that kind of length, you should be more effective when you make that move. He's not as explosive as KD, but he's got the length. So I would expect more things from him, and his shot just doesn't look great. His defense has always been questionable. So
yeah, I agree with that. Moving to the West again, because I forgot to mention it before. What do you guys think about Luka? No pun intended. Luka. What do you think about Luka Doncic? Has he? Because you were just talking about trajectory. I think personally, we were having this debate with some of my other friends too. I feel like Luka should be like at another level. I just don't see it yet. What do you think?
So I think he's still peaking. I think Dallas is still in the top 8 teams in the Western Conference.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm pretty sure they are, which is impressive nonetheless, considering the pieces that he's got. Fifth in the West with the pieces that he has around him.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty good. I think Luka's game is based off of maximizing his strengths. He's not a super quick, explosive guy. He's somebody that has a really, really good jump shot. But when you think of a slower guard, you don't envision him having the success that he does.
Right.
So he's so savvy about the way he moves, when he
IQ
explodes.
is incredible.
Yeah.
So just as we're about to wrap it up and jump into the kicks, we'd like to just finalize before we get to the next episode. We'll start with you, Chris. Give us your pick for the championship. Your projected pick.
What does my heart say, or what does my mind say? All right. In terms of the final matchup, or you want a champion overall? Okay, let's go.
Let's go to the.
Yeah, I think. Look, in the finals, we're going to have the Nets. I think they're going to figure it out. I think the vaccination Kyrie dilemma just needs to be figured out, and it will. I think in the West, I'm going to go with the Suns coming through the West. I'm going to go the Suns coming through. They're going to get back to.
I was going to say, let's leave it like that till the next episode, and we'll watch it and see what we get.
I think I'm going to go Nets Suns in the final. They're just going to eclipse the Warriors in a very tough 7-game series, but home court advantage will get them over the hump.
All right. Ratchet, what do you?
I gotta go over Brooklyn in the East, of course. That's why I said that earlier as well too. I go Brooklyn. And the West, I have it, Phoenix versus Warriors, but I gotta go with the Warriors here. That's my pick right now. In the next few episodes, I'll explain why. But so we have the same matchup in the West, but yeah, I think the Warriors will take it.
For me, I have the Heat edging out everybody in the East and coming out.
Okay, big statement.
And then on the West, I have to go with the Warriors. Maybe I just love them too much, but their basketball is just beautiful to watch. So I have the Warriors in the Heat in the finals.
Yep, for me, I'm going to go with my friend Luka here. I got to go Heat in the East, because I think once we get a full healthy roster, we'll be good. And then in the West, I think I got to go with the Warriors too. Like, I just don't see how Phoenix or any of those teams can overcome even a 60% Clay. I just don't know how. You know?
Phoenix is a backcourt-based team, but they do have a solid center. Yeah. But I think Draymond and Clay and Steph.
And Wiseman if he's.
And Wiseman if
Yeah,
he's
they're
back
good.
and healthy. I think that team is just too much for a Booker, CP3,
And you got factor Wiggins in too, right? Like so. Yeah, I gotta go Warriors as well.
Just in closing moments, we want to say again, thanks for paying attention. Please hit the subscribe button at the bottom. Nocturnal TV. Again, look at Alpha Pack for all your soft paper, and check out alphapack.com as well. With that being said, any final words from you, gentlemen?
Thanks for tuning in. Looking forward to sharing more content.
Any of your own personal social medias you want to throw out?
Follow me on LinkedIn.
Get the business up.
Yeah.
No, check us out. Thank you for your support. Make sure that you like, comment, share what you'd like to hear, and let us know what you think. That's important to us, and let's really talk on some topics that's important to you as well. So, thank you.
Yeah, and thank you everyone for tuning in, and thank you, Lonnie, for having me on this panel. Appreciate it. Everyone had some great discussions, conversations. I had a blast, so thank you.
All right. Till next time, stay dangerous.